Can you believe that I've been making Name Explained for over 3 years and I haven't even looked at the etymology of France? I live in the southeast coast of England. I can pretty much see the country from my window. And of course France is a spectacular country with a deep and amazing history full of interesting characters. And it's the most visited country in the world. People flock to the nation to see its amazing cities, mountains, beaches, ski resorts. France has it all. So to make up for this lack of acknowledging France for all these years, let's make up for it by not only looking into how France got its name, but how the nation's many regions ended up with their names too. So first off, let's look into how France itself got its name. France is actually a name that I covered in my book, The Origin of Names, Words and Everything in Between, which is now available from Amazon, hint hint. Like many countries, France is believed to be named after the people who lived there, the people in this case being the Franks, a Germanic people who took over the land. France's Latin name is Francia, which means the country of the Franks. How the Franks got their name, however, is a bit more confusing. The popular idea is that the Franks got their names from a specific type of weapon they were known for using, a throwing axe called a francisca. However, more recent evidence points to the weapon being named after the people and not vice versa. It's more believed now that the Franks are named after the Old English franca, which means free, as the Franks lived tax-free after they conquered Gaul. This etymology also makes the term to be frank make much more sense, as when you say to be frank, it means you are speaking freely. So that's how France got its name, but this video is about way more than just France. It's about looking deeper into the regions of France too. France is currently split into 12 regions on its mainland and an island just off its coast in the Mediterranean. France does have overseas territories, but it's just these 13 we'll be looking into today. However, this has only very recently become the case. There used to be 22 regions on mainland France, but since the 1st of January 2016, these 22 regions were merged into just 12, some gaining completely new names, some kept their own names, and others were given names compiled from their previous names. Like I said, it's these new regions we will be focusing on, but I will say what the previous regions were called and look into a few interesting ones with names that might ring a bell, and a big apology for pronunciation going forward. I can barely say English words, let alone French words. Hopefully if future Patrick remembers to do so, my pronunciation sources will be in the description down below. The northernmost region of France is Hauts-de-France, which is made up of the former regions of Nord-Pas-de-Calais and Picardy. This name means Upper France, which makes sense considering that this region is the furthest northern point in France. Normandy is a region of France that didn't change massively in 2016. It simply combined Upper and Lower Normandy together. This name comes from the people who settled in the land, mainly Danish and Norwegian Vikings. They were known as the Northmen/Norsemen as they came from the north, and over time this became the Norman and their land became Normandy. Île-de-France is the most populated region in France, and that's due to it containing the country's capital, Paris. Due to this, the region is also known as Région Parisienne, which means Paris region. Of course, that isn't its actual name. Île-de-France means Island of France, which is weird considering the region is completely landlocked. This name apparently derives from the fact that the region is bordered by rivers, what surrounds it somewhat like an island. Glandes is a pretty obvious name for us to understand. It's pretty big and grand and is located in the east of France. Originally it was made up of the regions of Alsace, Champagne-Ardenne and Lorraine. It's that region of Champagne-Ardenne that sticks out to me, however, especially the former part of its name, Champagne, which in itself is a historic region of France. The sparkling wine drunk around the world is named after this region. Brittany wasn't affected by the changing of the French regions in 2016. This name sounds so similar to the island nearby due to it being named after the Britons who settled on the land. I covered this in detail in my Names of Celtic Britain video. Just below and next to Brittany is Pays de la Loire, which like Brittany wasn't broken up or changed in the French region reformation of 2016. The first part of this name means country of the in French, with the Loire being the longest river in France and the river that goes straight through this region. The name for this river is thought to come from the Latin Liger, which is thought to come from the older Proto-Indo-European root for words like mud and water. The Loire River's name appears once more in the region next to Pays de la Loire, Centre-Val de Loire, which simply means that the region is in the centre of the Loire Valley. This region too was not changed in any way in 2016. Below the Grand Est region, we have the region of Bourgogne-Franche-Comté, its name being a combination of the regions that formed it, Burgundy and Franche-Comté. Burgundy is an interesting name I find, and not only is it the name of a previous French region, it's also the name of a dark reddish purple colour. Like Champagne, we have alcohol to thank for this, as the name for the colour Burgundy comes from the dark red Burgundy wine produced in Burgundy. And of course, it's the surname of the finest journalist our world has been blessed with. The region of Nouvelle-Aquitaine was formed of the regions of Limousin, Poitou-Charentes and Aquitaine. It's from this last region where the name comes from, as Nouvelle-Aquitaine means New Aquitaine. This name is thought to come from the Latin Aquitania, meaning waterland, as its western border is next to the Bay of Biscay. What struck me as interesting here is the previous Limousin region. A type of hood worn by the people in this region reminded people of a profile of a certain long fancy car, so those cars became known as limousines. Auvergne-Rhône-Alpes name too quite simply comes from the regions that created it, Auvergne and Rhône-Alpes. The name Auvergne comes from Auvergne, a Celtic tribe who once lived in the land. The Rhône-Alpes name comes from two geographic features, the Rhône River and Alps mountain range. The region of Occitanie is made up of the former regions of Languedoc-Roussillon and Midi-Pyrénées. Instead of just combining these names together, the name of Occitanie was used. This name comes from the historic region of Occitania, which resided in the south of France. The last mainland region seems to have two names, its long name of Provence-Alpes-Côte d'Azur and its shorter name of Région du Sud. This latter name is easier to understand, meaning simply the south region due to its location. This longer name comes from a combination of factors, it would seem. The region shares a lot of its borders with the previous French province of Provence. It's by the Alps and contains the Côte d'Azur. This last name I find particularly beautiful. It means coast of Azure and comes from the beautiful azure coloured oceans that grace it. Finally, we have the island of Corsica, an island region in the heart of the Mediterranean and a birthplace of a certain emperor. Unfortunately, we don't seem to know where this name comes from. It comes from the Greek Corsis, but after that we are clueless. The regions of France were suggested by Max O'Kill, and thanks to their suggestion, they will now be honoured as Name Explain's patron saint of the regions of France. Do you have a good idea for somewhere that's name could be covered in a Name Explain video? If so, then please consider donating on Patreon. Just $1 a month helps keep the channel running and earns you a weekly chance to suggest somewhere to be turned into a video, and you too could be a Name Explain Patreon saint. Name Explain depends on awesome people like yourself to donate a small amount on a monthly basis to help keep the channel running, so thank you to all my patrons who do this. Just $2 a month helps out in a huge way, gets you exclusive rewards and puts your name here with all these awesome people. Thank you.